Are you worried about this news?
No.
No, not at all, right?
Yeah, no.
But you just had 3 C-suite level. You're not worried at all.
Yeah.
Why? Why are we not worried at all? I'm
Should
not
we?
worried at all.
But you see CEOs, you see companies lay
Yeah,
off
but
like
this
hundreds
is
of people.
SingPost. This is like used to be a state-owned. You know what I mean? Like governmentally, I would assume if this happened in another country, it would be a much bigger deal.
You think so?
I think so.
So we're more than 20 episodes into this first season of our new podcast, Tell You First, where Harish and I dive into fascinating topics in history, pop culture and science that you never knew you needed to know, all with a touch of comedy. So we've covered a lot of topics recently, but some of our upcoming episodes will go to deeper, darker places, like about life during the Japanese occupation, imagining Singapore without Lee Kuan Yew, and even how Taylor Swiftonomics changed Singapore forever. You can search for the Tell You First podcast on the Me Listen app, Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and we'd really appreciate it if you leave a rating or comment on Spotify, as that gives us direct feedback about how much you like what you're listening to, and maybe even influence whether there'll be a season 2. So, influence away, and now on to the podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Andy?
Humor.
Good old humor, lah. Good old humor. But not bad. Yeah. So welcome, Andy. You know, while Terence is away, you're making your sixth appearance on Yalabat?
No lah. Fourth
or fifth.
Fourth.
Definitely up there, lah. Definitely up there on the leaderboard, lah.
Thank you.
So the last time you were here was when I was on paternity.
Yes.
So that was like a good three months plus.
Yes.
What's new with you, Andy?
Nothing. Same old.
No, but now you're back in Singapore. Are you working on a project? Or?
Yeah. So I'm filming a project with a new production house called Nightjar, and we are filming a time travel series.
Oh shit!
Yeah. And I don't know whether I can say more, but it has to do with Singapore's history.
Lee Kuan Yew, is it?
Yeah, and more. So like time travel and Singapore.
You're playing
history.
a young Lee Kuan Yew.
No.
Oh no!
I will not do that role. I will not do that role.
Oh, I see. So how long is the filming?
How long is the filming? It's the whole thing is going to take about 4 months. But my part, I'm only going to be in they are traveling overseas to shoot some parts. But I'm only, my role is only in Singapore.
I mean, 4 months for a shoot is quite a long time, man.
Yeah. And it's only 15 episodes.
How long each episode?
An hour?
Oh,
45 minutes.
But that's pretty long.
Yeah.
And when will it come out?
I think second or third quarter next year. Right? Next year it's 60, right?
Yeah, SG60,
right?
man.
So
SG60.
right on time.
So then after that you'll be back to Taiwan again, lah.
Yeah, back to Taiwan. Then right after Chinese New Year and working in Taipei.
On another project then.
Another project.
Oh, solid, man.
Yeah. Getting work. That's important for actors.
That's great, man. And now you're coming to your 5th year in Taiwan.
Yes.
I think
this is my 5th year.
When the first time you recorded the podcast with us, I think you were in Taiwan already. It was COVID-ish lah. Yeah.
Maybe
2020, 2021 like that.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So we are in some way tracking the journey with you lah.
Yes lah. Until you have your kid now. So single. Were you single then? No.
I was.
Were you single?
As
5 years
in
ago?
not married lah.
Not married lah.
Yeah, not married.
Yeah.
So I mean, this podcast, in some way, people listening, they've seen both Terence and I go from... Terence was married when we started this, then he had a kid, and I got married, I have a kid.
Yep.
Yeah, man. It's a journey.
It is a journey.
Yeah. And now this is literally the final episode of the year, no, Andy?
Oh, so this is going to release, tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm not good enough for the first episode of the new year? What?
I mean... Hey, you're ending the year, no? Yeah, already.
Not bad.
Imagine Terence listening to this while abroad. He's like, oh shit. Harish managed to squeeze one in before the end of the year.
Good.
Yeah. So you're ending the year.
Every time you'll need like a smarter voice, you will call me, I realize.
Yeah. I mean, we have a few regulars lah.
Yeah, I know lah.
Because you're also not always available, like Andy.
Yeah. Oh, is it that the reason?
I mean, one off. One off, man.
Okay.
But yeah, we do have some stuff to talk about today. I mean, it is festive. It is the end of year. But we do have some shit going down. I mean, I guess we can jump straight into it, lah.
Let's go.
Yeah. And this one was some news that came out last week, which, I mean, right now it's still in development. But it's just a very interesting case of these 3 C-level executives that got fired from SingPost, lah.
Yeah.
When did you hear about this whole shenanigans?
I kind of heard headlines, and then this morning when you text me the article and say, "Oh, we're gonna talk about this," then I'll be like, "Okay, I need
cram for exam."
Cram for exam. To be honest, I haven't. You guys actually have been the my go-to to keep in touch with the local scene.
Yeah. And we haven't covered this yet.
You haven't covered this yet.
So that's why you didn't know jack shit about this.
I didn't know jack shit about this. But I did cram, and I realized that there isn't that much clear information so far.
Yeah.
You want to bring us to what? Roughly what?
Yeah, you don't need to say it like, Andy, I'm going to do it anyway.
Do it,
right? Of course. That's my job. I'm the tabber, remember?
Oh, okay, sure.
No, because, so this thing is still ongoing, but the more I read it, the more I found it like, oh shit, this is actually runs very deep. The CEO, the CFO, and the chief executive of SingPost International Business Unit were all terminated with effect on 21st December. So right now, there's still a lot of updates we are seeing in the news. But the more I read about it, the more I realized, it wasn't just that one-off thing that some shit happened and these 3 people got fired. Because when the news first came out, it was something about this whistleblower report that, let people know that for certain entries, for a certain customer of SingPost, there were a bunch of parcels that were listed as DF, which is delivery failure, even though there was no record of deliveries being attempted. So at first I thought, okay, that happened and these 3 people were fired, which already is a bit odd because these are the 3 super high-ranking officials.
Yeah.
But overall, what actually happened was it was in January 2024 that the whistleblowers report was submitted.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were a bunch of investigations that went on. And that is not the entering of the DF as for the parcels was not what got the 3 C-level executives fired.
Was partially the reason, right?
Partially. So the exact sequence is January there was this investigations into why this shit was happening about the DS being entered. Then there were 3 executives who were investigated as part of that, who were fired.
3 staff, right?
3 staff.
Not the C-suite.
Yeah, right? Not the C-level executives. Executives.
Okay.
Yeah, they were fired. I think all 3 of them wanted to contest the firing. Then within a few weeks, all of them retracted their appeals.
So they accepted their termination, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then while that report was being kind of investigated by the board and the auditing committee, there was some uncertainty about the handling of that report and investigation by the C-level executives. And apparently they downplayed the weight of these things being entered incorrectly. And then because of that mismanagement, that's why they got fired. Which to me I was like, oh shit. At first, when I first read it, I thought they were the ones entering the DF into the parcels. Then I was like, shit, why the hell is the CEO entering the info for the deliveries himself? But it's not that. It is the 3 staff that were doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the management of the whole investigation and whistleblowers report that the second investigation found was lacking.
They wrote something like there isn't this manual. They denied that this happened, right?
Yeah, correct.
So now they are responsible for giving a false report.
Exactly.
Right, that's the reason.
So some people were entering this. Investigations found them guilty. They got fired. But then investigations found that the management was trying to cover up for them, and then they got fired.
Mm-hmm. And they are all appealing the termination, right?
2 out of 3.
2 out of the 3.
Yeah, 2 out of 3. The CEO and CFO. The chief executive of the International Business Unit, he's like, you know what? I got better things to do.
I got enough money in my bank.
I mean, right now, there's nothing conclusive that we can debate. Mm-hmm. But if you read the statements put out, because there's a whole bunch of articles put out there, there is a statement from SingPost that came out early on about the dismissal of these 3. And then there was another statement about responses to questions from the stakeholders about this whole thing. And there's 9 pages.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they lay out the whole chronology of everything that happened. It started 17 January 2024 all the way till 21st December 2024 when the 3 C-level suites were executives were fired. Yeah. So how does it make you feel, Andy? Now that you straddle between two countries, when you come back and you see this kind of shit going on in Singapore, are you like...
First of all, it sounded like very American, like whistleblower and like, oh wow, conspiracy and all.
Yeah.
But honestly, I didn't really... Initially, when I first saw the headlines, I really didn't give it much thought. It was like it doesn't affect me. Like my mail is still going to go through and nothing's going to happen. Then I gave it a little bit more thought, right? And the first thing was that there was a lot of questions that came into my mind. Like, how am I supposed to frame this issue? Is it because my mindset was that I'm taking it like it's a company, like let's say like X or SpaceX or something like that happened. I'll be like, it's not my problem. But is SingPost really a private company? I went to check. It is somewhat a private company. Like, I mean, its own. There are like a lot of entities like that are Singapore owned, but the majority of it is a private company, right? So
it's a publicly listed company.
It's publicly listed. Then in my mind, I'm like, okay, so should I should look at it as a private company. But then I think about it again. Are there any public elements to it? Because the postal service is a public service, right? Or is it? Do you actually have an answer for that? Do you actually know? Like, is it a public service that we are talking about, or a purely private company we are talking about?
So I mean, it is a publicly listed company, and the two major shareholders are Singtel, who hold approximately 21.7%, and Alibaba, who owns approximately 11.3%.
So something like that.
About 14%. Sorry, the rest are like institutional investors, individual shareholders, and public entities. So in terms that's the ownership, but I also do agree that it feels like a public good, lah. So. Yeah,
I mean, look, we are talking about things that are complications and expertise already, right? Because like it can be a private company, but there are certain services that are subsidized by taxpayers' money. I don't know whether that's happening because like postal doesn't feel like a viable business, right? Like if I'm gonna post letters, so I don't know how to. I think why I didn't really give it much thought is that I don't know how to frame this issue. Yeah. So that's the first thing that I think I need to figure it out. Like how do I frame
But
this?
how would it be different if it's... So I mean, SingPost, is to clarify, it is a publicly listed company. So it's not privately held. It's publicly listed.
Yes, publicly listed.
Yeah. So how would it change how you frame it depending on the ownership?
Because it means whether it has anything to do with me at all, right? Because if I'm paying for a service with my taxpayers' money, then it is my problem, right? I want to know
like it's
how
a stat board or something
it's like
like
how is it being done? Like what are the procedures? But then if it's a company that like, and I'm not a shareholder in the company, I don't hold its stocks or anything, then I'm just watching gossip, right? I'm just this C-suite. So I'm trying to see where do I actually how does this thing actually affect me? But reading the article and all, it feels like even this part of it, it feels like it is this DF thing, right? It is towards like an international service, right?
It's an international.
It's not a local Singapore thing
because it's for if it is for one of their big international customers. So
which they are not naming.
They're not naming,
right?
And even the certain thing that also stood out was there were allegations that this DF was being manually entered because they wouldn't count against deliveries not done, lah. Because if you don't deliver past a certain threshold, you will have to pay penalties. So the allegation is that this was done so that SingPost won't have to pay penalties. But even after this whole shebang, right, they renewed the contract with the customer.
Which is they renewed it already.
They renewed it. And they settled all this out privately, lah. Like the discrepancies and all. So, I mean, there's nothing conclusive. Everything we're saying here is just us trying to wrap our heads around it. But sorry, I interrupted you.
No. Actually, I was actually looking. I didn't come in with conclusion. It feels like I'm just interested to see how it unfolds. Also what other information there are. And I'm also very keen to see how the appeal from the remaining two C-suites are going to play out, because it feels like they are like
quite adamant, right?
不服气, which is like they feel like, but I've done nothing wrong. It feels like they say that, and I'm like, okay, so like what now? Like what's the next step? You know, and it's still quite opaque lah. Like we don't know there's so many details that we don't know, and I want to see how it's done. And I'm also now very interested to understand like how public services work in a non-public company, which we do have that, which is like a half public company, right? Like they are not really state-owned, but they are subsidized, or I don't know
so
what
in
the
terms,
details are.
like one equivalent that came out would be, you're talking about public good, SingPost. I would imagine, a public good water, right?
Yeah.
So water is managed by the PUB, which is a stat board under the Ministry of Sustainability and the Environment of the Government of Singapore. So it is fully owned by the government. So in that case, if there is some sort of like shenanigans going on, it is arguably your taxpayers' money that is going towards that. But SingPost different lah.
Yeah, because they are considered like a half-half, right?
Yes.
Am I right to say that? I don't even know if I'm right to say that.
Hard to say half-half because I don't know what the proportion of the shares are by institutional investors, because I'm guessing government or some government entity has a share in it. It's all public info. I just don't have it in front of me. But hard to say half-half also lah.
Okay, I wouldn't say half-half, but they are in business with the government. It's one of their clients, or a big part of their client?
Client?
Not sure.
I mean, definitely some governments.
Right, I would imagine that, right, the government is probably their client and paying for like a certain part of their service.
Yeah, I mean, one equivalent is SMRT. So SMRT is also listed on the Singapore Exchange. You can argue that the train is a public good. And Temasek has a bunch of shares of SMRT. So I think they did delist the company and they took it private. So at one point it was publicly listed, but then now it is a wholly owned subsidiary of Temasek Holdings, which you can't really say is the government. Is the government's investment company.
Yes.
But it's not like a stat board which falls under a certain ministry.
So I guess what I'm saying is that
it's confusing as shit.
It's confusing as shit. But I'm also really, I feel like it's interesting to find out how it actually works now, because we don't want everything to be state owned, right? We kind of establish that. But so how does all this complication works? And like there are only a few public services, right? Like water, electricity, and then like postal, and then media, right, which is us, right? Like I'm also very curious, like how does MediaCorp work? Like how much of they are a private company, but how much of the government is a huge client in this company, right? So and that's taxpayers' money, and how does it work? And all the details, I feel it almost feels like it's necessary education for us to find out. I mean, this is what I got from this story. Like I really don't fully understand how we work as a country, and I'm interested to find out more.
Just this one article made you think. I mean, it's true because even just now when you're saying MediaCorp, I was like, wait, MediaCorp, what's the ownership structure? Apparently, it's 100% owned by Temasek Holdings, which is again not the government per se. It's the government's investment.
It's not state-owned, right? They made it very clear they're not state-owned, right?
Yeah.
But they are fully
owned by Temasek, which is owned by the government.
Yeah, so how do they function like a private company, and they are just purely for profits, or I don't know where are we going from here? But I don't know. I don't understand how it fully works, and I've been working in that company for a long time, and I'm curious to find out. Like,
I think over the years it has changed also, because there was like the SPH trust, because SPH ownership is also different. Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting you point that out, because I mean, like on one hand, for me, I think it sounded like it's not a Singaporean thing, because whistleblower. Since when has someone blown any whistle in Singapore and caused the departure of 3 of the most senior executives, which in some way is encouraging, right? Because it's like the whole people of the voice.
Actually, you're right. Yeah.
For it to have that much impact. Another question is like, wait, what actually is going on? Because it sounds like a TV show summary, that you're reading,
like a log line.
Like a log line. 3 C-level executives maybe are they protecting something? Are they not? Of course, everything's speculation. But you read it and you go into the weeds, it really feels like, oh shit, this is happening in Singapore. Which, I mean, probably has happened before, but so publicly, and the fact that they're going to contest and appeal, is their message to 2025. Like, we're coming.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but like, does it make you kind of like, anything else that stood out about this whole thing? Like, given that you were so deep in thought?
Was I? Am I very deep?
I mean,
I feel like
you think
I'm
about
very...
the ownership of Singapore companies all.
I guess from a very macro thing, like, because I keep trying to ask myself the question, like, how does this affect me? And a lot of times, like for this article, like it doesn't, I feel like it almost doesn't. And then I keep chasing that thought of like, how does it affect me? And then that's where I lead to like, okay, what's the company structure and everything.
But how do you feel about SingPost in general?
Like, if I have not researched it, I would have imagined that it was a public company. It was
like your own feelings. Like, do you like
how do I feel?
Feel good about it? Are you proud of SingPost? Any memories of SingPost? No.
Like, I don't really give it much. I just feel like it's a public service. I always felt like I thought it was a public service.
Got no emotions.
No, you have what's your emotion?
So I mean,
how are you supposed to feel about SingPost? Like, you see the logo and you're like, oh, so excited. What?
No, okay. So one thing that comes to mind is I remember like maybe 6-7 years ago, SingPost Center at Paya Lebar was like a shithole building. Yeah, but then they revamped it and they made it all stylish from the outside. And I was like, oh shit, SingPost. And then you go to the SingPost, the post office, like they upgraded it also. Like, have you been to a SingPost office recently?
I mean, I've been to, which is nearby here, right?
Yeah.
I think I've been to that a couple of years back.
Yeah. So I mean,
the top floors are the office, like below it's
like retail and stuff,
right?
Then there's a SingPost office also. So I mean, like, we've had to do deliveries for folklore and stuff like that. And I mean, so far in recent times, I've had good experiences with SingPost. But then actually, there's a lot of things going on in the company the past few years that I think they've been fined before. There's a bunch of changes of leadership. They have kind of closed down, I think, 40 plus outlets because you're transitioning online. So just now, you're saying like the business of sending letters, right? Actually, they do a lot more than that. They got mail services, digital services, logistics, e-commerce solutions, retail and financial services. They have a business, part of their business operates in Australia. Yeah, so I mean, it's
privatized already. Like, they are like a for-profit company, right? And they have expanded into whatever it's going to make them money and all that stuff.
Yeah, so there's a lot more that meets the eye. Indeed. But I mean, this one, all we know is that it's a developing case because they're going to appeal. Oh, sorry, they closed 12 post offices in 2 years, pivoting to a new service model. I don't know what that means.
They haven't been doing very well stock-wise as well.
Yeah, and especially after this, it dropped even more.
Maybe a good time to buy. I don't know. I mean,
okay, so SingPost Group in August, they reported a first quarter operating profit of 24 million. Which, I mean, 24 million profit, 105% higher than the previous year. And its revenue rose to about 500 million per year. So, I mean, 500 million revenue, profit of 24 million per quarter.
So they're trending up, right? Their profit and revenue.
That's pretty not bad, no? 25 million profit. But yeah, when you...
I mean, I don't know what to gauge it with, right? It's just a number, but...
Yeah.
But if the trend is upwards, that means they are doing something different, because... I mean, they are basically competitors to, like, locally, like Ninja Van and...
I guess so.
And also, like, overseas is like what? DHL, right? I would assume so, right?
Like, actually, now that you mentioned it, overseas DHL, but locally they're competing with Ninja Van more for the bigger deliveries. If you want to send a letter, right? I don't even know. That's
the public service part, I would assume, because I don't think
all the letter boxes out there are SingPost, right?
Yeah, that's the public service part, right? I don't think that's lucrative.
So are they a monopoly?
Way. Oh, they used to be, I would assume.
But they are not anymore.
But is it a monopoly if it's a public service? We need an expert to come sit in and explain all this. I mean, look, it's very complicated, and it's an education I would love to have if we have an expert here. But these are the questions that I think are pretty worth asking and educating ourselves.
Yeah, and maybe that's the benefit of these sort of cases being brought to light. It just makes you wonder, how the hell does SingPost operate?
Yeah, how the hell does it operate? It's very interesting.
Did you always think it was interesting or only now?
as I guess spending some time in an overseas country,
Yeah.
and then coming back, you start to realize that you don't take things for granted anymore. It's like, oh, SingPost is SingPost or MediaCorp is MediaCorp, you know. But now you're like, oh, like the company I'm working with in Taiwan, they function this way. They're structured this way. Oh, we are structured in a completely different way. How are we structured? Why did we choose to structure it this way? And what are the pros and cons of being structured in this way and that way? And we are still evolving. Like Singapore is constantly evolving. Because we started out with everything being, a lot of things being state-owned, right? And we slowly privatize and make them market competitive and stuff like that. And all these are very interesting to see for me. And it's a trend. I think it's just gonna move in that direction now.
Actually, I just Googled it. SingPost was once state-owned. It was originally part of the telecoms department. In pre-1992, it was under the Telecommunications Authority of Singapore. And then 1992, there was a restructuring process to corporatize public services.
1992.
1992.
Yeah,
so SingPost was established as a separate independent corporate entity. In 2003, it was listed on the Singapore Exchange. Also, it started off like what we would imagine, that it is a public good, but then it got corporatized, which is what we've seen happen in Singapore many times. And then decorporatized, delisted as well. Wow. Oh, so the regulation is through IMDA, which is why this whistleblower report got also sent to IMDA.
I mean, it's a complicated relationship once you go down this path, right? Because
privatization.
Yeah, privatization, right? Like, how do you regulate it? And who is a friend? Who is a foe? Is there a conflict of interest? All these are deep level of questions.
I guess if it wasn't privatized, it wouldn't even be able to expand to Australia. Because that was the whole thing with the NTUC income, right? It started off as a cooperative, and only through corporatization could they raise external debt, expand more, get access to more sources of finance. So maybe, that's interesting idea. I didn't even think about it that way. What a way to end the year, man. Thinking about SingPost.
Yes.
But I mean, I think this case, there's a lot of weeds to trawl through, but it's interesting if you look at it even from a high level.
I have a feeling this is not going to be the last time you guys are going to talk about this.
Yeah, definitely not. In fact, we've been wanting to talk about it, but there hasn't been that much info about it. But with these recent developments and the statement that just got released yesterday, Sunday, 29 December, in response to all the questions that were coming about, I finally understood a bit more about what actually happened. And
I think I have one more question before we move on from this article, which is, what is our stance on whistleblowers here in Singapore? Right? I think that's also an important question, right? In the US, they're having this whole debate about whistleblowers, they are not being protected and but what's our stance here? Do we actually want whistleblowers? Corporately, governmentally, and public opinion wise, do we actually like whistleblowers? I think that's also a very interesting.
I mean, I know Singtel, they have this. SingPost, they have this statement in their this paragraph in their original statement. The company's whistleblowing policies and processes enable staff or any other person to raise in confidence concerns about possible improprieties, including concerns about the group and on the conduct of officers or staff. So it feels like there is an actual process in SingPost for whistleblowing, which means that whether or not they actually do it is encouraged.
It's enforcement, right? Because the rules are, I'm sure there are rules. I'm sure it's written in there, but how is it?
But there's a process.
How is it enforced?
Yeah, it's not say just someone found a way to get the whistleblowing report. There's apparently a process.
Yeah, so I'm also keen to see how the whistleblower.
But they
won't say
they said the report is not even going to be released.
Yeah, but is there any repercussions? And I don't know. You know what I mean?
I think that's the biggest thing, that if you imagine other people in organizations and companies, state-owned or not in Singapore, that sees this, you're like, oh shit, actually, you whistleblower, there's some shit going on.
Whistleblowing just feels, I don't know. What if you are in a big company and then you see something that's you cannot see?
I used to be in a big company.
And then were you whistleblow? Or you just I just quit?
That one hard to say. I think maybe the younger me will be, of course, you see something wrong, you have to speak up. But then as you get older, you realize maybe you can still attack the issue, but not sometimes not confronting it directly and going about it a different way can be more beneficial. But at the same time,
excuses. Sorry.
at the same time, yeah, the realities of life. I can imagine a lot of people being conflicted, myself included. I would like to think that I would whistleblow when I see something wrong, but I don't think it's that binary like the decision.
I'm gonna generalize like crazy here, but culturally, I don't think we are
whistleblowing.
Like a whistleblower.
Maybe not. Maybe the younger generation.
Maybe
Maybe the younger generation. Andy, we are no longer the youngest generation anymore. No?
Not even
we are
younger.
Uncles, no,
not youngest. Not even younger.
We are the uncles.
We are the uncles. Oh shit.
Yeah, whistleblowing is alive in Singapore, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of things to come. I think SingPost has mentioned who will be kind of taking over in the meantime.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, man. As the statement says, the company will make further announcements as and when there are material developments. I mean, SingPost Center is still open. You can still go there and have your coffee bean and tea leaf.
You know what's amazing? Something I just thought of. I thought was pretty amazing. Are you worried about this news?
No,
not at all, right?
No.
But you just had 3 C-suite level. You're not worried at all.
Yeah.
Why? Why are we not worried at all? I'm not worried at all.
But you see CEOs, you see companies lay off like hundreds of people.
This is like used to be a state-owned. You know what I mean? Like governmentally, I would assume if this happened in another country, it would be a much bigger deal.
Do you think so?
I think so.
I would have thought in another country it would be like, oh, this is part and parcel. In fact, Singapore, it's a big deal because this rarely ever happens.
Yeah, but we feel like, but I don't know. My industry is like nothing's going to happen. They're going to replace and then everything's going to stabilize. Maybe the stock drop by 10% and like give it 3 months, it will go back to normal and then everything's going to be normal. Why are we so confident? I'm so confident. I just feel like.
You think in, like, let's say Taiwan, it'll be very different?
I think it will be.
How would it be different? What would people do that's different? You mean there'll be a lot more like people wanting to dive deep?
There definitely will. Also, like, I think that it will be more volatile. And then there won't be this sense of like, no, like this is
SingPost
a small thing. Like it's gonna get settled, no problem.
Maybe SingPost is just not sexy enough of a business. Like SingPost, okay, when I think about it, it was called SingPost when I was young.
Yeah.
It's still called SingPost.
Yeah, so it's so hard then.
Nothing has changed. So it feels like this is just like a
not
dinosaur
sexy
thing.
Not sexy, but yeah, it used to be state-owned and it has Sing in the front of the name. It's a national pride thing. I think overseas there will be people will feel a lot more unease than
really?
We are here. I feel so.
I
might be wrong, but I feel so. I just realized how calm I am about this incident. Like
I mean, even when because SingPost kind of everybody has interacted with SingPost in one way or another. It's not like this random company that liquidates.
Yeah. You don't even think that it's gonna liquidate, right? But we're talking about the CEO.
CFO.
Right? CFO and the international CEO, which is like probably the 3 biggest ranking. Isn't that something?
I mean, it raises questions, but can you ask me, is it making me sleep less at night?
Not at all, right?
Really.
So that's also something I feel.
So there's a question to the listeners also. Is this making you lose sleep or not? Or are you just like, it's another day in the world of SingPost?
Yeah, 99.9% of the people.
I mean, to be honest, when I heard CEO of SingPost, I was like, oh fuck, SingPost has a CEO. It just feels like this network of postal workers,
like the Christmas elves, like sorting the parcels and letters.
That was your mind. SingPost is a company, there's hierarchy and all that. Maybe SingPost is one of those like that's been in the background for so long that people just kind of like, like desensitized to it already.
Yeah.
Interesting lah. But yes, lots of more developments about to come for that. Like we're ending off the year with this. Chances are we'll start the new year with something related to this also. In the meantime, there is also something that's happening at this end of year, which has caused a lot of backlash. And it is a certain music festival happening at Sentosa, which is called the Yuan Music Festival.
Yuan, I think.
Yuan Music Festival. So I had never heard of this festival, but it was and is a festival being held at Siloso Beach from December 28th to December 31st, 2024. It features artists from around the world, including South Korea, China, Netherlands, Japan, Thailand. And there are tickets available. There can be a 1, 2, or 3 day pass. And apparently the 3 day standard ticket costs $581, and the 3 day premium ticket costs $1,014.
Wait, what again?
Yeah,
How much is the
for 3 days? A standard ticket is $581.
all 3 days?
Yeah, and the premium 3 day ticket costs $1,014 lah. So highest and lowest lah, which is pretty damn high. But I think it all started on December 28 at about 3:30 p.m. There was a lightning warning, and sounds like a lot of the attendees were told to seek shelter. Then when they went to seek shelter, they couldn't find shelter, and then like an hour later, the festival Instagram posted another update saying, okay, lightning notice has been called off. Please go back to where the performances were. But the performances started before people could come back in. And then apparently there were like 20 to 30 minutes of ads before performances. So people were like, what the hell? We didn't
in
pay to
between
watch
performances,
ads.
I think.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of backlash. And I think it was started on a Reddit thread that went viral, and then the mainstream media picked it up. Were you aware of this festival happening?
No, I'm not.
But what's your experience with music festivals? You seem like
Not
someone
much.
who has been to a lot of music festivals.
No, like I'm not that cool. It feels like people who go to music festivals are very cool and hip. And
Oh, really? Yeah.
I'm not leh. Yeah.
I also have. I think
embarrassingly not
think
cool.
Terrence has been to Zouk Out. I mean, you've been to Zouk Out.
I've been to Zouk Out when I was younger.
I have been to Zouk Out. No,
I think.
No, I've been to a New Year's party at Sentosa, not Zouk Out.
Oh, is it the bubbly foamy one? And then there was the case of molestation and stuff like that.
That was a few years after I went.
Sure.
But I won't deny that me and my friend, we climbed into the bubble pit, but we got kicked out. We climbed over some wall. I was drunk. We climbed over some wall.
That's pretty common. Like you break rules when you're drunk.
Yeah. And then I remember seeing the foam pit, but I don't think we even made it there. We got kicked out.
Why? Your tickets are not like foam?
I don't think so. Or maybe we climbed into one part where we weren't supposed to be, and then we got kicked out.
Like the VIP area.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, back then I was a regular citizen, Andy.
Yeah.
Now I'm still
Say
a regular
bye-bye to that life for the next 10, 20 years.
with a child, is it?
Yeah, with a child.
Thanks, Andy. Very encouraging. But do you remember these festivals being well organized?
My impression of Zouk Out was actually quite organized.
Yeah. I mean, for how many times it's been happening, felt like there hasn't been much backlash, right?
Yeah, not much backlash for Zouk Out specifically. But when I was there, I was too young to even really think about the macro view of it. But like it felt like everything was in order. There was no danger or anything. But that said, like music festivals and like bad music festivals are like pretty commonplace.
Why you say that?
I mean, there's the documentary
Netflix
Fire, right? And there are, you see that like overseas music festivals are like negative news on music festivals are pretty common. And I wouldn't be surprised because you are gathering like thousands and thousands of people into like a small space. And then if it's open air, then there's weather. There's so many things that could go wrong. You have so many different groups of artists coming in, all with their own requirements and different stuff. It's just a recipe for disaster. And it's also a very high risk, high reward business, right? Like you can make a lot of money, but you can also go bust very, very easily because the capital needed to do one is so high. And that's why a lot of companies actually go bust and they start a new one and go bust and start a new one.
Oh, is it?
I think so, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
So that means what Zouk Out achieved is pretty damn exceptional.
Quite amazing. Yeah.
I think also because now with social media, when shit goes wrong, so I mean,
everybody knows about it.
Yeah, when I was reading about this, I was like, okay, the one thing is with social media, maybe last time people still had to wait, with a false lightning kind of thing, but you can't complain at that moment. Then by the time you go back, you're like, fuck it, I'm just done. Yeah. So social media, and it feels like these music festivals over the years, from what you hear about people going to even places like Burning Man, right? It has become a lot more commercial as the years have gone by. So the moment it becomes more commercial, more profit driven, then you get things like this, like 20 to 30 minutes of ads before a performance when you could totally ask the band to perform. But on one hand, ads brings you revenue if you're the organizer. Bands lose you revenue, like if you wanted to play for longer. Even some people I've met recently who've gone to Burning Man recently, they said it's very different from how it used to be.
Oh, really?
I've never been to Burning Man. I don't know whether at some point I would want to go anymore last time, but they said now it's like 80,000 people, and it's lost a bit of that soul or spirit lah. And you know, like the tents are getting fancier, whereas last time it was just a lot more minimalist.
They had no like amenities, right?
Yeah,
no
no
electricity,
amenities.
no nothing. Now they have like luxury tents and stuff
exactly.
Like that.
So there's all these things creeping in, and I guess for music festivals. But this thing is I don't know whether it's the first time they're doing this. And I'm also surprised that at that sort of price, it still feels like a lot of people went. 581 for 3 days. That's quite a bit.
I mean, the performance are big crowd drawers.
Actually,
right?
I guess people would pay like $300 for a Taylor Swift ticket. Right.
Yeah, and I don't think
days,
it's music festivals are
not cheap lah.
Not cheap, yeah. Not cheap, yeah.
Have you gone to any festivals in Taiwan?
No, I'm not a crowd person. I can't do crowds at all.
Really?
Really.
Haven't you done hosting all before?
I mean, that's work lah. Like I would never, like just now when I was coming, I was at Vivo City.
Too much?
Just too much. I want to have lunch. I'm like, I can't deal with this crowd.
Is it something that got more apparent as you got older?
Yeah, it is. Oh my God, so old.
No, but same for me. Yeah? But even when young, like I used to go to clubs last time with my friends more as like, okay, everyone's going, I'll go. But I hated being in a club because I just don't know what to do. Then I'll get drunk and then I'll pass out and I don't remember anything. So it's a waste of everything lah. So I mean, long story short, I'm also not the biggest fan of crowds lah.
Yeah.
But music festivals sound interesting because they're outdoors. And that makes a big difference.
Yes.
Okay, have you been to an Indian wedding before? Like that full-on multi-day Indian wedding?
No.
In some way, it's like a music festival. Except you have parents and aunties and it's not...
Yeah, but a lot of song and dance.
A lot of song and dance, a lot of food, a lot of drinking. But I would say a music festival, I would like to go for one at some point, but I don't think I can do the 3-day thing. Because, you know, I think some of my friends went to Neverland or something like that. Have you heard Neverland in Europe?
Europe? No.
Neverland Music Festival. Yeah, it looks insane. Yeah, it's called Neverland.
Yeah. It looks really insane. And I guess it can be quite fun. Just having the amount of energy in one space.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing. And I don't think like 3 days, right? They are not there for 3 days. Like they're not standing in front of the stage for 3 days. And then usually there are multiple stages, right?
True,
and then like you go and chill and then this act, beach, I really like this act, and then I join in for an hour or 2 hours and then I do the next thing. And it's almost like a staycation kind of activity,
because
right?
I mean, it's the beach and I guess if you go with friends, like Tomorrowland. Later, I'll send you a clip for their promo videos for Tomorrowland. Is insane. But yeah, so what you're saying is when you saw this, you're like, oh, but aren't all music festivals kind of like you go in with the expectation?
I just feel like I mean, first of all, like music festivals having negative reviews and backpedaling it's to me it's commonplace. I always wonder, like when I was looking through the article, like why isn't there a company name? Like I feel like they get away with it so easily. Like usually it's the company. I don't know why people give so little credit to the company that's organizing the music festival, right? So like they have a name like Yue Wen Music Festival and people remember this name like Zouk Out, they remember Zouk Out, right? But like, okay, so Yue Wen, like for example, they did very badly and then if they close down and they don't do this festival and they'll come back with another name.
Yeah.
But it's the same company and then they could do like crappy music. I'm not saying that they're always doing crappy music festivals, but if a company constantly does crappy music festivals but keep coming out with a new name, it was just gonna keep repeating, right? Like why are the consumers not looking for the accountability label?
That's a very uncle thing to do, Andy.
Is it?
Yeah.
I feel so because there are a lot of organizing like companies that do events that have very, very bad reputation, but they have been around for a really long time. I don't know. I'm not going to say. I'm not in the circle enough to say, but I know. I know that there are, and they have been like pulling the same trick over and over again. Like I always wonder, like, why aren't the people looking for, the people that are usually always going for festivals or concerts, why aren't they gunning for, it's done by this organizer, it's going to be great, I
would imagine the hardcore festival goers would probably not be the ones to get screwed over by shady festivals like this one. These are all the more...
you're calling it shady I don't know. Maybe it was just bad planning for a day. I don't know. Maybe it's still going on right now.
I'm not saying shady in the sense there's money laundering and all going on, but it does sound like poorly managed. But at the same time, right, even organizing my own wedding, there were things that, didn't go according to plan.
It's very hard.
Yeah, it's damn hard. And anytime, like what you said, you have like thousands of people in one area. But this one also feels like, even the way the company managed it. And apparently, Yuewen is a Chinese entertainment conglomerate. So they've been in the business for a while. It's the first time they're doing this festival.
In Singapore?
In Singapore,
yeah. So maybe they have done it many times in, I don't know, Beijing or something. But it's a whole new set of problems, right, when you are doing it in a different place. Yeah.
Well, but what if someone told you, hey, Andy, I'm going for this music festival coming up, what would you tell them? Hey, be prepared to be disappointed.
You mean this one?
No, any music festival. You say generally music festival.
Not generally. Like it happens lah. Like you gotta know what you are getting yourself into lah. It's gonna be a lot of people. There's gonna be a lot of waiting. Not every moment is gonna be fun. You should get drunk. And if you like big crowds and meeting new people, you have fun lah. But if that's not your thing,
sounds damn tiring. Really. You just
right? I know, right?
I'm like, holy shit.
Probably. Yeah.
But I mean, like, right now, even as we record this on 30th December, there are people out there who still have tickets, who might still be there now and will be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because it was
I think they brought a lot of big acts here, which is difficult. So, like, most of the acts are from Asia.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
And I don't think we have a festival that brings in so many Asian.
Zookout
is usually Angmo.
Was it?
Yeah, usually different,
like
party kind of, it's a completely different vibe. This one is like K-pop, J-pop. They probably can't do one full concert like Taylor Swift here, but they can do an act.
Is Zookout happening this year? I don't think so, no?
Yeah, Zookout, I think they haven't been that active.
They had Zookout in 2023. But no.
Okay, yo.
Wow. Zookout 2024 don't have.
Ooh. Sorry, guys. No Zookout 2024.
But yeah, man. I mean, it looks like Yuewen will still be welcoming the new year.
And
Sentosa.
I think they should. I mean, let's give them today and tomorrow to see whether they make some changes. Yeah. I mean, it's bad. It's bad. Plan B lah, right? They have no plan B lah. Like, what happens if this happens? They have no plan for that. So that was not great. Yeah.
But I think they also mentioned somewhere that I think they can only perform till 10:30 on. Yeah, so according to local police regulations, all outdoor performances except for the New Year's Eve show must end by 10:30. So at least the New Year's one will go on. Yeah,
Zookout was till like 6 a.m. or something.
So I mean, then the music festival end at 10:30 p.m. Then you take MRT home. Feels a bit off, right?
No lah, you can stay in the hotels and the accommodations nearby.
10:30.
10:30 ah, wow.
I think that's a post-COVID thing.
I kind of like it.
Then you have to be sorry, guys.
So boring.
I would love to party on, but the police say
like 10:30 is time bedtime. Let's come back tomorrow 7:30 after we have our breakfast at 6:30
go for a run.
Then go for a run, work out. Then we can come and
I'm sure there's some Uncle Music Festival that would be perfect for us.
Okay, I have one question. So this is probably the biggest question of this article, right? Like, do you think they should be refunded?
Oh, I think refunded. No, I think refunded.
No, refunded.
No. Because
some of them are stuck outside. Okay, let's say.
But it's done already.
But I bought this ticket to. Okay, let's say I watch ABC. Right, and then but because of this rain and because of the queuing crap that happened, when I go in, I didn't see that specific act at all. That means the amount I paid for the ticket I got zero value because I bought it only to watch this act. But then how?
But that's your problem, lah. Like, I'm selling you a ticket for 3 days you want to place all that
You can buy
value
day
into
by
this
day,
one act.
right? You can buy day by day.
You can buy day by day.
Yeah. lah.
The whole day got multiple acts, right?
Yeah, but I bought it specifically for this. Why? And you promised me that I bought it because this is the value that I'm supposed to get from
Yeah,
it.
but
you didn't deliver.
that's you attributing so much value to one act when, Andy, I am giving you 10 acts throughout the day. Like if I cook a meal for you, like at my house, and like 9 meals you don't care and you only eat one and you say you don't like, I'm like, fuck you lah, Andy. Got 9 other dishes to try. You don't want, is it? Your problem.
Wow, do you work for that?
No, but this one I feel like, because if it was just that one-off like lightning kind of thing for that period
specific
of time,
one thing, right?
hard to refund. Hard to refund.
Hard to refund. I agree, it's hard to refund.
Yeah.
But I can also agree that it will really piss me off if
Maybe that's
if
why
that was my
that's
case.
why you don't go to music festivals.
No, the people that are there, they must be pissed off. I can completely understand why a lot of them are being pissed off.
Pissed
and
off,
if the organizers are, if they care enough, they will probably do something about it.
But maybe
not a full refund, but I don't know, do something about it.
But maybe this is like also overblown, because when you look at the stories online, and not just the Yuewen account, people generally having a good time. So maybe we're just like looking for fire when there's only a bit of smoke. Okay lah. Yeah. Wow. Last podcast of the year, just so negative.
Not negative. Good.
So
we said
negative,
they should continue.
That's true.
Yeah, we say they should continue.
28. So they're not performing on 30th December. So today's a break. It's 28, 29, and 31st.
So they're doing a New Year thing.
Yeah, doing a New Year's thing.
Exciting. Yeah, not bad. I should go and have fun.
Then got 1 day break. You can recharge, go for your runs and all that. And then come
not
back
bad.
31st. But cool lah. All right, man. That wraps up the two topics. Now we just have our one Shiok thing of the podcast, man. You got yours? You want me to go first?
Yeah, why not? You go first.
All right. So I recently came across this one blog, I guess, by this one writer who's written quite a few books. And he writes books about like productivity, mortality, the power of limits. I haven't read his books or anything, but I saw this one article that has made me sign up for his newsletter. It's the website is called the Imperfectionist. And this article is about it's called You Can't Hoard Life. And I actually really like writers like this, where they have kind of like short articles that share some interesting perspective. And essentially this article was talking about something that he himself was struggling with. He said he noticed that whenever he experiences something wonderful, like a sunset or something, he would think that, okay, I need to experience this every day as often as possible. And how can I, structure my life to make this happen? And then he ends up being very stressed about it. So this article is about the belief that you can't hoard life. And in some way, in Buddhism, they teach you about detachment and all that. Yeah. It's more like, yes, these sort of experiences, you're supposed to experience it as a one-off thing. And apparently in the Japanese tea ceremony also, there is this one thing that he mentioned about another article that described the tea ceremony. Great attention should be given to a tea gathering, which we can speak as of one time, one meeting, which is Ichigo Ichi. Even though the host and guests may see each other often socially, one day's gathering can never be repeated exactly. Viewed this way, this meeting is indeed a once-in-a-lifetime occasion. So as much as you have come on our podcast many times, Andy, this podcast I'm recording with you is a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Yes.
And that allows us to experience it with all the joy and happiness and not get stressed about making the next one that you do with Terrence as epic as this, because it will never be.
Yeah, Terrence will never be as epic as...
Thank you, Andy. That's what that was all I was
That was what
for.
You were saying, right? I got it completely.
Yeah,
there's this
exactly.
saying where like you can never step into the same river twice.
Oh.
Right? That's the same concept, right? Like the moment you step into it, the water has passed. Yeah. So you can never step into the same river twice. And like as well as it's like living in the present. Like you are never the same person. Like this second to the next. So
I mean that river thing is quite cool because like you step in it once, you think it's amazing. You might want to step in it the same way every time, but no, you just accept that this step was nice. Your next step might be nice, might be different. So yeah, when I read this, I like this kind of writing. It's a short enough article that you can digest it on like a train ride, like 1 or 2 stops. And the blog got other interesting articles also. So I would recommend the blog, not just this article, but my
What's
link
the
would
name
be
of the blog again?
The Imperfectionist.
Imperfection. Wow,
Yeah.
so positivity driven.
But not the kind of annoying positivity.
I can see why Terence is irritated by you.
Oh, really? Andy, you started so well, though. You started so well. We can just edit that part out. We can just edit that part out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sounds great.
Hey, don't patronize me.
No, I'm not patronizing.
That's exactly what
I
Terence
gave you
would do.
I get him. I understand why.
You finally understand him.
Yeah.
But yes, Andy, what is your one Shiok thing?
Yeah, my one Shiok thing. So I've been a gamer all my life, and recently I started on this streak of independent games, which is kind of like independent, lower budget movies like that, right? So, but I realized that they can be so creative and out of this world. And I've been playing this game called Foxhole. It's about 5-6 years old. It's not a new game anymore. So it's an MMO game. So massively online, multiplayer online game. MMO, yeah. So what it is that it is a war simulator where you have two factions, and every single thing that happens in the game, there are two factions fighting a war, right? Every single thing that happens in the war is done by human players. Right, so you have humans fighting the war, obviously at the front line, shooting guns and stuff. But you also have players just logging on to mine metal and put them to the forge and make bullets.
Is it?
Yeah, and you need people to bring this bullet to a factory to do the next step, and then these people to send it to the midline, then to send it to the front line. They call it logistics. And then so every single part, so every gun, every bullet you shoot, every gun you are holding, every boat, every plane, every tank that you're driving, it's all made by humans doing different parts of a war. And you have just weird groups of people fighting a war to see who wins from two parties.
But how is this done timing wise? Because not everyone
is 24 hours.
Oh shit.
Right.
Really?
So you have and you have all sorts of, and you hear it's almost like a huge social experiment, and you just see how people interact with each other. I have heard Chinese, okay, so you have regiments, right? So a clan, you play a game. So there are clans of people. So there are Chinese clans, people from China, and then there are and American clans, and then, but sometimes they have to work together because they're in the same site, and then they have to do something together, and then the Chinese can't really speak English and they're trying, and then you just hear all that rubbish going on in the world, and then you're like, what am I doing? And you don't know what's happening when you're playing the game. There's no tutorials. You just get thrown into the game and you keep dying, and you try and talk to people, and then some people are like, oh, okay, come out, join us, I will teach you how to do this.
What?
And okay, let's okay, if you want to do logistics, you have to drive a truck. Okay, this is how you drive a truck, and then they bring you to a factory, and this is how you build it, and everything is done by humans. Right?
What?
Right? This is completely it just oh wow, you can do that.
Shit. So when you join, I mean, I'm reading up, you say you choose a site.
Yeah.
And then what? You just get a berth into one.
Yeah, so you're like a little man in it. Yeah. And then you just...
But how do you decide, okay, you want to forge bullets or be on the front line?
You don't know. So you just kind of read, what happened for me is that, I saw it on, Instagram or something. I was like, oh, this looks really weird and interesting. So I just bought the game, and I went in, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do. I just ask in the chat, hey, what do I do? Do you want to do the front line or logistics? So I chose front line. So then I just, so they taught me how to get to that place, and then this is how you kind of search the internet for some basic stuff. Then, I get a few bullets, how you shoot, and then you start from there. Right, yeah. And then it's maybe...
So it's like an open world. You just walk...
Complete open world. It's like a metaverse. I cannot use that word anymore. But it's like a metaverse, but in a war.
So when will the war end?
It ends when certain goals are hit. Right? So they are there are details, but basically there are 23 checkpoints or something. And once either side wins, gets that 23 checkpoints, then the war is over. And then they will start a new war.
This is insane, man.
It's insane. And it's so crazy because you're so helpless as one person. Like you go in and if you want to play as like an individual player and you have a gun, you're so used to like you go in and you're the hero or like World War II, you're your grenade and you can like destroy a whole camp. That's not happening
So
in this
every
game.
person you see on screen is being operated
All real,
by a real.
all humans, and you die like nothing, and you really are like you don't. Sometimes I played for like an hour and 2 hours, and like we are still in the same place, like out at a bridge, and you just keep dying and trying to like get an inch off that bridge, and that's the whole game, and that's part of like that, and you can do anything you want. I've seen people that only do logistics, and I've joined a regiment to listen to how they communicate, like the frontline people asking the regiment, and then there's like artillery, tanks, and you can just do whatever you want, but you got to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's a crazy game, but it's so interesting. Yeah.
Walao eh. I mean, I can see the appeal of people just going there to do logistics lah.
Yeah, right. Because there are people that play games like
The
bus
Sims.
simulator,
Yeah.
or like factory simulators, and they can actually do the same thing there with a bigger purpose.
Wow.
Yeah. I really enjoy this game in a very weird way. Yeah.
That's damn cool, man.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty
Awesome. That's one of my favorite one Shiok Things ever from a guest, man.
Oh, really? Wow.
Well done, man.
Wow.
Dude.
If you ever play that game, let me know.
Yeah, I'll let you know. We can meet at the foxhole or something. Record a podcast like in the game. But cool, man. Thanks so much for joining, Andie. As always, like where can people find you?
Oh, ANDIECHEN on Instagram.
Anything else you want to push them to check out or any other shout outs?
No. Oh, can I just put a message in here?
Sure.
So I've been acting for many years, and I feel like the local support for the production process is really lacking. So like, for example, landing out your locations, or if someone's filming there, like maybe like, oh, can you like be quiet for like the next 2 hours, 3 hours? Like this support, it has been lower and lower every year, and it's gotten to a point whereby like filming in Singapore it's starting to be unenjoyable because people seem to don't give a shit or even have a negative effect, like they give off negative energy when someone's filming nearby, and that's quite sad because why?
Yeah.
Like we are making something here, we're creating something here, and we are almost everyone. It's like a home team thing. Like and why are we not supporting this process lah? And I do hope that there are more people that would support us or give more positivity when there is a filming nearby. That would be very helpful. Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yep.
What a wholesome message. So if you're seeing anyone filming around you, don't be a dick. Basically, that's what
don't shout and scream and be really rude. Or if someone's asking for a location, you like try if you can, if it's within your means, like lend it to them. Or sometimes like isn't just borrowing a toilet or like a changing or lending a space for an hour or something. Like help us lah. We're trying to make good stuff. Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. I 100% support that message. If you want to find out more about what Andie does, check him out at Instagram, ANDIECHEN.
Yep.
Follow us on social media as well. Thank you so much for listening this whole year. And Terrence and I will be back in a few days' time with the first episode of 2025. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Happy New Year.
And thanks, Andie, for joining us. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.